Hi, and welcome to Animalia the Podcast. I'm Natasha, and thank you so much for tuning in. This is our final episode for 2020. I can't quite believe it's here already. 15 episodes in 5 months? Not too shabby, eh? You are in for a treat because all of our previous guests are here sharing their memories of what has been a tremendously challenging, difficult, and trying year for us all. Our lives have changed in ways we don't yet recognize, and I think now is a good time to pause and think about how animals have brought us through. In that vein, therefore, I'm going to start this episode by sharing a poem by my personal favorite online pet store, Chewy.com. It's where I get all my cat gear from fountains to greenies to toys, beds, and so much more. I'm happy to give them free advertising because it really is a great store with the best customer service. So, here's my rendition of the poem Chewy penned for all of us animal lovers. 'Twas the year our pets saved us, a Chewy original poem. 'Twas the year full of questions, COVID and doubt. For months we wore masks, indoors and out. Social distancing made us feel safe, but alone. Even our weddings were remote or postponed. While our kids went to school in ways unfamiliar, our own days and nights felt strained and peculiar. We binged-watched TV, the good, bad, and terrible. In short, this past year was barely bearable. Yet each time we felt at the end of our ropes, lo and behold, our pets raised our hopes. They offered relief for our cares and our worry. Relief that was feathered, or scaly, or furry, or swam round and round in a tank without sinking, or sat by a heat lamp, unmoving, unblinking. Some of these critters are new family members. Some have been with us for days without number. Some were adopted as pandemic puppies. Some were ball pythons, or bunnies, or guppies. Honestly though, species doesn't matter. The point is that pets make everything better. So yes, while we must also sadly attest that at times this year we were not at our best, acting crabby and sullen and often cantankerous. Pets, you have the pandemic to thank for this. Again and again, for reasons inscrutable, we got back to booping those dog snoots so boopable. We treated our cats to special cat treats. We taught new limericks to our old parakeets. We gave extra crickets to our cute bearded dragons. Even our fishes' tails started wagging. We care for our pets. They need us, it's true. But deep down we know that we need our pets too. Their antics make us laugh when we're tearful. They comfort the anxious, lonesome, and fearful. We need the sense that their presence provides us, the feeling that loved ones are always beside us. 2020 tested us in myriad ways. Weeks felt like months, and hours felt like days. A new year approaches. Who knows what's in store? Who knows what fresh weirdness will barge through the door? But whatever may come, let's all take a minute to celebrate our world and the animals in it. A world without pets would be a cold, dreary place, like the ocean's dark floor or the far depths of space. We have it in ourselves to shift our attitude and close out the year with a sense of gratitude. So in that spirit, friends, let's raise our voices all. Happiest of holidays to creatures great and small. Now, wasn't that awesome? I was so giddy when I saw this and I couldn't wait to record it. You'll be hearing it again on the Animalia socials before the year is out. So now, on to my guests, the stars of today's show. I present them in no particular order, starting with our youngest guest from episode 12, Megan Khan, who's followed by our Jamaican guest from our Eye on Dependency show, episode 13, Dr. Gabrielle Beckford. And finally in this section, we have our most recent guest on episode 14, Marguerite Miranda from Pet to the Vet, who apart from providing a reliable transport service, has been an excellent resource for animal owners and activists.
Hi, good day. I'm Megan, a previous guest from Animalia the Podcast. And during the pandemic, the importance of pets and animals to mental health were very significant. Without my pet, I would have had one less tremendous reason to look forward to a new day in quarantine and just being at home in general. Interactions with animals helped with depression and anxiety, particularly under stress-prone conditions. I even enjoyed talking to my pet as I would talk to another human being. Sometimes I even confided in them about my problems. And the best part is they didn't judge me. With this year and being home so much more than I've ever been in my life, I had much more time in my hands, which were used to educate myself more on animals and animal abuse, which is a major problem in Trinidad and Tobago, and I found ways it could be prevented and handled. It has also enlightened me on how grateful we should be to have a pet as a companion, and I hope whoever is listening right now, I hope that you use my words as a sign and motive to go rescue or adopt a pet. Thank you, and I wish Natasha and all the listeners the best and most prosperous New Year ever. Thanks.
Hi Natasha, my 2020, it was difficult, it has been difficult, yes, and my relationship with animals for 2020 has actually grown because 2020 was so hard that I needed even more comfort and even more purpose. So I've actually gotten 2 new dogs this year, and I've done fostering for the first time twice this year, and I just find something to put care into, to put love into, because sometimes it helps me to love myself. I don't know if that's if I don't know if that's how you say it, but basically that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because I'm putting love into this animal. I feel a bit more purposeful and I feel a bit more valuable. And like right now we're not really allowed to interact with humans as much, so I can't go out and volunteer at like a kids home or something. So I find the time to advocate for animals and to take care of animals, and it's actually increased for me for 2020, my care and advocacy towards animals. I've also taken more time to introduce more children to animals, and we're doing it with social distancing in mind. We're doing it like out in open spaces where the kids can interact with animals, so I'm not putting anyone's child at risk. But yeah, that's how it's been for me. I've just found that I'm actually putting more effort into caring for animals and advocating for animals and finding ways to bring people closer to animals, because they really do help with therapy. They're therapeutic. That's the word I'm trying to look for. That is the word I'm trying to look for. Animals are just therapeutic to be around.
To Natasha and Animalia, thank you so much for the opportunity of sharing on your podcast and now your year-end finale. It means a lot to my team, my animals, and myself. We here at Pet to the Vet express our sincere gratitude that during this unexpected pandemic for 2020, we were blessed in so many ways. Though it was distinctly obvious that more than normal animals were abandoned by their owners, there were many angels among us who stepped up to the plate to assist with food and foster homes. For this, we are very grateful. By our social media platform, Pet to the Vet and much more on Facebook, and pet_to_the_vet on Instagram, we have used experiences which are of great concern to us to inform and educate the population wherever possible, to become more in tune with the love that can be special between us humans and animals. We have also educated pet owners on the necessary precautions to keep their animals healthy, taking vaccinations, etc. The fireworks issue is one we continue to expound on in our surrounding neighborhoods and continue to plead with the authorities for noiseless fireworks. We will share pointers on our Facebook pages as well. Our service continues to be based on love, caring, reliability, and professionalism. As 2020 comes to an end, we look forward to new and better expansion in our business as we continue to provide for our customers. We pray that more Tobagonians will become appreciative and more respectful of our animals, and wish all of Trinidad and Tobago a very happy Christmas and a whopping New Year. Merry Christmas from Pet to the Vet and my family. God bless.
Next up, we have Liselle Haripol, the dog groomer from Perfect Chien, who was featured on episode 6. And a special shout out to Liselle, who got married on the 17th of December. Congratulations to her and her husband. Liselle is followed by the founder of Petwell TT, Dr. Nicole Straker from episode 4, who has been a great help to Animalia. She is the one who hooked me up with a lot of my guests. We also have the cat sitter, Kimlin Harilal from episode 2, who found more time this year to dedicate to her true love, fostering.
So what 2020 has meant for me, I'm a dog groomer. It has been a year of really sitting back and thanking God for the many ways that He has blessed me. Really, making an effort of seeing the goodness in the little things and learning to be content with what you have. Regarding my business, I was affected by the COVID shutdown. We are viewed as non-essential, but that is so debatable because grooming does play an actual role in the health of animals. So it's actually brought up a point of discussion amongst us groomers as to why we should be actually considered as essential workers. But it also gave me the chance to sit back and observe what areas in animal care that is lacking. And that actually had prompted me, my downtime had prompted me to do a diploma in canine nutrition. So looking forward into 2021 and beyond, I'm really looking to marry or look at a holistic approach to dog grooming, not just simply concentrating on bath and hairstyles, but looking at things from an internal aspect. So with joy and hope and thankfulness, we look forward to 2021 and hoping that, this downtime has really brought people's appreciation for love of pets to maintain good mental sanity and improve treatment of pets on the whole. So with that, I just want to wish everybody all the best for 2021. Keep strong. Most important, keep grounded in your faith. And with God, all things are possible. Bye.
Hi, Natasha. For me, 2020 was a year of growth, not only personal growth, but, growth of a business, diving into something new, starting up Petwell TT, realizing the needs of the clientele in Trinidad. But in addition, it was creating new relationships. Of course, other than new clients, I met a lot of interesting people involved in animal welfare and fostering, and generally good people. I would have passed on quite a few persons to you as well, because I thought they would be perfect to meet Natasha and speak on such a forum about their impact and their work in animal welfare. For 2020, I was so glad to see that. A lot of people, of course, had more time at home with their pets, so they had more time to really observe their pets and, observe when their pets weren't doing, 100%. And out of that, we had more people seeking out veterinary services, or at least doing more research, looking up more information on what are the needs of my pet. A lot of people, it's just food and water there and nothing else, but maybe people had the time, I want to believe people had the time this year to look at the other parts of the welfare of their animals, what the animals may have needed. So including things like shelter, environmental enrichment. So I love that 2020 also because a lot of people were home, a lot of people were home in mandatory quarantine, people had a bit more time and a bit more energy of themselves to give towards animals. So you saw an increase in adoption rates and an increase in fostering rates. So that meant there were less animals in our shelters. And those animals that, they didn't find their forever home yet, at least, they got the experience of a home, so they would be more well adjusted when that forever person comes along. And I loved that 2020 brought that about in, an unlikely of places, Trinidad and Tobago. I really love that we got to see more of that in 2020, and I would like to believe we really got more of this adopt, don't shop motto spreading around in Trinidad and Tobago, so I'm really happy about that as well.
Merry Christmas to you, Natasha, and to all of the listeners of the Animalia Podcast. My name is Kimlin Harilal, and I am the cat sitter TT, and most importantly, I am a cat foster. So, 2020, where do I begin? For my cat sitting business, this obviously took a huge plunge this year because persons were not able to travel as they were scheduled to because of COVID-19. So that meant that I didn't have much clients this year. I did some house sitting, which I do as well. So I had a couple of clients that needed me to do house sitting, and when the bans and different things started to lift a bit more, I got a couple more clients. So things were really relatively calm this year for cat sitting. However, this opened even bigger opportunities for me as a cat foster, simply because I was home 24/7, and it allowed me to foster kittens from an earlier age. So usually if kittens had to be bottle fed round the clock every 2 hours, it would be more of a challenge for me because I would have to go to the office. But now that I'm home every single day, I was able to bottle feed a couple litters this year, and nothing has been, more rewarding than seeing kittens on the verge of, death, haven't seen their mom died, and just bottle feeding these babies till they're all grown up and strong and just really independent now and gone off to their forever homes. So it's been a really interesting ride for me. Like I always say, it's a roller coaster. It's bittersweet. So for me, while business was really, negatively affected, my fostering, which is really my true passion of getting to raise kittens and spend time and just love on them and raise them and get them off to really happy homes to live their happily ever after forever lives, that really, really blossomed. Again, I just want to use this opportunity to say to everyone, have a happy and safe Christmas. More importantly, spay and neuter your pets. They do not need to have a first litter or experience motherhood. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to be part of this awesome podcast. I'm wishing you all the best for 2021, and to all the listeners, thank you for joining and being part of this fantastic initiative. Thank you to all of my supporters, all of my clients, my cat sitting clients, and to everyone who trusted me not only to cat sit but to foster and be a part of a kitten's life and their forever story. So you guys have a blessed year. All the best. From Kimlin, the cat sitter TT.
Coming up next is Tamara Ramlagan, now Fernandez, from episode 3. She has a unique experience to share, and she's followed by Dr. Mark Driscoll, the farmer's vet who appeared on episode 7. He's also speaking on behalf of the members of the organization he leads, the Vet Association of Trinidad and Tobago. The last of the vets is represented by Dr. Sherelle Sammy of Sunnyview Vet Care Services, who we know has been battling personal health issues, which we hope will be resolved in 2021.
Hello, Animalia. Today, my contribution to this podcast will be two-part. I'll be speaking on behalf of the Animal Rescue Association, and I'll also be speaking a little bit about my experience as a pet parent for 2020. I'll start with me. This year has been a major change in my life since I migrated to the US. I brought my dog, of course, getting him here was not easy during the pandemic, but I got a lot of help from Jet Set Pet TT, run by Miss June Tompak. You all can check her out on Facebook. So basically, the process involved a lot of paperwork before and even after he got here. But just to summarize, they basically had to put him in a crate in the cargo section of a Caribbean Airlines flight that was approved to come to New York, where I would have collected him. That in itself was an emotional day for me, having to deal with the poor service, the delays, the setbacks from this cargo company that Caribbean Airlines used. Imagine knowing that your dog arrived in JFK Airport after a 6-hour flight, and then I'm waiting to collect him, and the staff is telling me that they don't know where his crate was. They don't know where he was. So, there was a lot of crying and shouting and quarreling on my end. Eventually, 2 hours later, after Hulk touched down, the trucks brought him in the collection zone of the cargo area where I collected him. They actually acted like if this was a box of goods, and they did not treat him like an actual animal. So I was very, very upset for that. All the same, he was in good shape when I got him. He was a good boy. So I was thankful for that. He was so brave, and I'm very proud of him. I'm happy to announce now that he is doing great in his new home, and he has adjusted well to the new lifestyle and to the freezing cold temperatures. Now on to the association, the Rescue Association that is. With donations and a barbecue fundraiser that was held this year, we were able to complete the fencing, run water, electricity, and begin the construction of the administrative building for the new shelter that we're constructing in Central. The association has been working against all odds during the pandemic to get the shelter up and running as soon as possible. There were also several rescue missions, rehabilitation projects that were undertaken for the year. Hopefully we can accommodate even more next year once the shelter is actually up and running. Because for now, the members of the association take in the animals in their homes. In closing, I'd like to thank Natasha for this much needed podcast. And I'd also like to thank the amazing rescuers of TNT who work 24/7 to make our country a better place for animals. Happy holidays, everyone.
2020 was an interesting challenge for everyone, and I look at it as a challenge and not a problem. We were faced with restrictions on pretty much every aspect of life, and yet we had to still find a way to get things done, living our own lives and whatever service we provided. And for vets, that was no different. So thankfully, there is a global network of vets that were all dealing with the same situation. And we did find ways to still incorporate good veterinary practice with the physical distancing requirements. But it did see a fairly rapid change from inviting every client in to sit in your waiting room to certainly meeting people in the car park and bringing in the pets alone. Of course, there's good and bad with it. We had clients that didn't take too well to the new restrictions, and it did add, of course, to some of the stresses that vets are already facing. But I do believe that we've managed to make it through. I think one benefit of the profession is that we were immediately identified as essential workers. So even though things had to change, vets were still able to go out and do what needed to be done. So not many of us faced the immediate work from home restriction that many other people did. With that, I think the trip to the vet became an outing for some people, which is why entire families were brought along, despite the insistence that only one person could be allowed in at most. But it was and still is an interesting process. The Vet Association has tried to maintain its role, but again, without face-to-face meetings, without gatherings, we have been stymied in many of our efforts. But we are still here, we are still trying. But with that, just wishing everybody a safe end of 2020. And I don't believe that 2021 is going to be a reset button, but I do hope that everyone is able to continue to be safe, continue to do what is necessary for this situation, but by all means have a prosperous new year, all the same.
Hi, Animalia and our podcast listeners. I am Dr. Sammy. And just to let you guys know how 2020 has been, it's definitely been challenging, but I must say that I'm grateful that I was able to support the many animals and their owners through this pandemic. As hard as it has been for everyone, we were still happy to be open and where you guys could have turned to for help for your pets. I would say that all we can do is look forward to the future and see how best it can get better from here and just make the best out of it. You know, life doesn't always go how we plan, but maybe that's just the fun of it. Expect the unexpected and make the most out of it. That's exactly what I think I did for 2020. I've had a lot of personal ups and downs and just still managed to make it through with a smile on my face as best as I can and just give my all with the gift God gave me. So I definitely want to say, while it's been challenging, it's definitely worth it. And a lot of self-reflection has happened and just growth and everything that I probably needed to do maybe a few years ago. So I hope this message gets to you guys well and all the best for the new year.
Finally, we have the woman who started us off, who we sometimes call Venus because, well, it's easier than saying her name. Elspeth Duncan of the Rescue Association Venus Doggess of Love and the lone Tobago representative. I hope we can change that in 2021. And the final voice you will hear is my husband, Garth Sinclair, who, as ever, had to be cheeky with his contribution, and this one will make you giggle, trust me.
Hello Animalia, hello Trinidad and Tobago. This is Elspeth of Venus Doggess of Love, the animal rescue and welfare NGO in Tobago. For me, 2020 as an animal rescuer was quiet but very productive. Early on in the year, we built the Canine Cottage, Venus Doggess of Love Canine Cottage, which is a rustic, spacious, fenced housing facility for dogs that we rescue so that we don't have to take them to the shelter. It's not a boarding facility for other dogs. It is primarily and only for Venus rescues. We can house 2 dogs at a time in this very quiet and rural setting, so it's not traumatic for them with a lot of other dogs around. So it's quite a lovely healing space. And most of the year was spent focusing on Topaz, a dog that we call Topaz, a homeless dog who we found with sarcoptic mange, which is a very contagious form of mange. And she and her 5 pups were our first tenants at the cottage. They stayed at the cottage for almost the whole year until we got homes for all of them. 2 of them, Topaz and one of her other pups, Tansy, flew up to the States via cargo flights from Trinidad. Normally we would send animals from Tobago, but because the borders are closed, Tobago has no outgoing flights. So they flew from Trinidad. Topaz is now living in Vermont as of the 3rd of December, and Tansy, as of October, is living in Massachusetts, where they are super happy. All of the other pups are living in Trinidad in wonderful homes. There were a lot of dogs out there just wandering like ghosts because either their owners dumped them or could not afford to feed them due to job loss. So we did a lot of dog feeding. We did rescue and help other dogs as well. And I've found as well that I stepped back from a lot more than I used to do. A lot of people would call me and say, could you go and get this animal? Could you go and get this animal? Because they realize that that's what I do. But I've started saying, no, can you go and get it? Just go and get it. Take it to the shelter, take it to a vet, whatever. If I can help in some way, I may be able to help in maybe helping to pay for something for the animal. I'm not saying I'm a funding society at all, because we need funds for Venus as well. But yeah, I've been trying to educate people or let people know, you are just like me. The same way you look at me and you think, oh, she's always rescuing animals and having success with it and this and that. You can do the same thing. We are alike. It just takes the love, the effort, the time, the care, and it can be done. If you don't have the money, don't let that stop you. You can bake a cake, you can do a little painting, you can do something, sell it, raise money, ask somebody for help. There's always a way. Do not pass by an animal that needs help. That's my message.
2020 for me was a mixture of emotions. Still trying to come to terms after all these years that I have a wife who loves cats. And before I go on, I must give advice to young people that if you're planning to have children, try kittens first. They really test your patience. They just as children. The only thing is they don't listen. They're cute when they're sleeping. But 2020 for me was a mixture of emotions. Of course, we lost, apart from Missy, we lost Toro as well. Well, Missy was a couple of years ago, but this year was unfortunate that we lost Toro. And every time I get accustomed to one of them, something happens. So I'm trying to deal with that issue. Yes, they're cute, but they also tear the place up. We have chairs now look like standing graters. They can really test your patience. So I'm trying to deal with that. And I am thinking there are a number of husbands or wives like me out there who needs a support group to understand how to deal with pets so that we can vent. Because when you have a wife or a husband who love cats or dogs, but in my case it's cats, and every time we lose one, we get one. This time we got two. So now we have 3 cats. Well, 1 cat and 2 kittens. These 2 kittens, they choose whether it's midnight or late at night to play soccer. And they just run in and out when they want. They climb, they jump, they scratch. And don't talk about wildlife. Pretty soon I'm expecting the Lizard Association to probably hold a protest in front of our home because they would not leave the lizards alone. But my wife loves them. I try to adapt, and so far I'm coping with it. It's going okay. It's just that not being a pet person, I always have to try and adjust to their behavior and the fact that they will do what they want regardless. But that has been 2020 for me, having 2 new kittens in the home and watch them grow. And I'm hoping that they will reach to that stage where they would rather save energy rather than play soccer at 10 in the evening. And they could spare some of the wildlife, if that is at all possible. Looking forward to 2021. Merry Christmas, everybody.
My commentary this week, what was 2020 like for me? It was a combination of loss and gain, joy and pain. Losing Toro in such a sudden and violent way in May this year was devastating and led me down a path that I'm still recovering from to this day. But as they say, time heals all wounds, and I have you to thank for your support in creating this podcast, which has been a tremendous help to me to channel my grief into something that could benefit the wider community of animal lovers. This was very important to my own healing, and I thank those of you who joined me on this journey, and long may it continue. I also added to my family this year. My sisters, who live together, rescued 2 female cat siblings in November 2019, and because of COVID, they weren't spayed. The end result was that they both got pregnant and had litters of 4 each, almost a month apart. It was really a very exciting time indeed, as neither I nor my sisters had ever witnessed cat pregnancy or birth before. For Sola, the tuxedo sister, who made 2 sets of twins, ironically born in the month of May 31st, so they're Geminis, 2 boys and 2 girls. For Sola, motherhood seemed a joy and she was a natural at it. I adopted her sons and named them Pear and Thierry. Their sisters, Montana and Maui, stayed with their mom. Luna, the Black Panther sister, also birthed 4 kittens, but sadly one died after a couple weeks. And months later we lost another one, Boris, and we still hope that he is alive and well. The 2 remaining diluted calico siblings, both girls, are thriving, one with her mom, aunt and cousins, and the other adopted by a colleague of mine whose 4-year-old son now has a new best friend. That adoption story was one of the most rewarding moments for me this year, apart from Pear and Thierry, because it helped me to realize that the circle of life still turns, still thrives, and not all is lost. For the final Rescue Me of 2020, allow me please to share a snippet of what it's like to have cats in your family. And I think I was the one who was in need of rescuing this time. Check this out.
You sure?
Terry, no! Mom!
Oh, they brought it inside?
Of December. We're now 10 days away from Christmas.
Hey, man,
I hope that means that you are very much getting the spirit of things, the mood of things.
So what happened here this morning?
In spite of the news agenda that we and others put forward for you. So much still happening this month of December. Of course, as the PSA election results are yet to be determined or presented.
What's the next move? What's the next move?
But there is no final confirmation as far as
You're finished with everything?
I know, I should say. Maybe
it's dead
from the newsroom and.
So that's episode 15 of Animalia. I hope you enjoyed it, as I hope you've enjoyed all the episodes of Animalia this year. Stay tuned for much more in 2021. Remember that a new episode drops on a Friday every fortnight, so you can find the link on our socials, Animalia the Pod, on Facebook and Instagram, and now on our website, animaliathepod.weebly.com. If you like what you hear and want to appear on the podcast, shoot me an email at animaliathepod@gmail.com or message me on the back end of the socials. Thanks again to all the Animalia guests and supporters, and thank you for listening. This song is dedicated to all of you. I'm Natasha, and until next year, take good care, enjoy the holidays, be safe, and remember, love off your pets. Bye-bye.